Hey, good morning. Jeff Light here with our daily look behind the news from the Union-Tribune newsroom. This morning we're talking with political columnist Michael Smolens. Michael, a lot of politics to write about. Most notably the vote by the county supervisors to, let me see if I get this right, join at the first opportunity the opposition to the state's sanctuary state laws. Okay, so I guess we could talk about the practical part in a minute, but tell me the politics of this.
Well, the politics is an election year. This is being largely driven by County Supervisor Kristen Gaspar, who's the newly elected chair of the Board of Supervisors. She's running for Congress, and she's only been in office a little more than a year on the county board, so this is a big leap for her. And this, has become sort of a bit of a groundswell in conservative and Republican areas. Other cities and counties, Orange County took a similar stand where they wanted to join the Trump administration lawsuit to overturn these state sanctuary city laws. It's become a very political thing. She's in a big field with some high-powered candidates and has been in middling in the polls, so she needs kind of a breakout moment, and this is part of it. That's not to say there isn't legitimate concern about, on certain sides about the sanctuary state laws. The key one, as we've talked about before, is to what degree local law enforcement can communicate about criminal, illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants who have, committed other crimes with federal officials. The real rub is here.
Yeah,
but just, on the Gaspar side and the Trump administration side, this is not an immigration issue, it's a public safety issue because some people are being released that otherwise would have been turned over to ICE because of the limits on communication, and that's a bad thing. Most law enforcement officials, including Sheriff Gore, are saying, well, he's abiding by the law, but he says, the last thing we want to be viewed as is part of the immigration enforcement because they rely on immigrant communities and a lot of, unauthorized immigrants to come forward about, reporting crime, and they're very concerned about, that not happening. So there's a real split in that. Some, the Orange County Sheriff disagrees, but I've talked with police chiefs around the county and most agree that they need to keep separate from ICE and so forth.
Yeah, plus, to be clear, the serious crimes, dozens and dozens of them, are all exempted from this law, right?
Jeff, that's a good point because that does get lost in all this. It sort of seems like they're letting out murderers. Well, they're not. There's like 800 crimes which the sheriff's department, if somebody has committed that, they do inform ICE on. So
we should run that list sometime. I think it's 600 crimes.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to I think what we really need is some sort of analysis as to what's really been happening. It's only been in effect since January 1, and so I don't know if they're going to do some sort of first quarter analysis. How many times have they notified ICE about releases, and how many times haven't they when they otherwise would have? So that'll be kind of interesting.
Now let's go back to the politics for a minute, because to me, what's interesting here is you're seeing the resurgence within the Republican Party of this anti-immigrant plank, which I feel like I haven't really seen here in the 8 years that I've been here. It's been in recession. So people like Bill Gore, a Republican, are very much on the other side of this. Like, no, don't start pushing that button. Kristen Gaspar, who I don't really know her background. Is that her pedigree? I'm the firebrand anti-immigrant candidate.
No, and I think she was given our editorial today, talked about how she was viewed as a pragmatist, a Republican, with conservative aspects about it, but she was the mayor of Encinitas, which is a coastal, Republican city, if you will. So this seems to be a little bit new for her. She was very much local government oriented. You can make the argument that this is local government oriented, but they're talking about filing a friend of the court brief sometime down the line, maybe. So there's a lot of politics to this. You mentioned the interesting aspect of it. The race she's running in is the 49th congressional district up in North County, and it straddles North and Orange County.
That's her calling.
Yeah, there you go. Shut up. It's still a Republican district, but it's become more, increasingly Democratic trend. We call it getting towards purple. So the question is, this is something that could work for in the primary because there's so many candidates. Does this appeal to the core, real sort of right-wing people that puts her, into November? But then, it's sort of a more moderate electorate, and does this fly with them? Plus, she could be sort of, even though she says public safety, she could be, tainted by the anti-immigrant paintbrush, and also that this is supporting a Trump administration policy, and you want to get that close to Trump in that district, which really hurt Darrell Issa.
Yeah, and now, very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, more generally, and I guess this is what's going on in America, so it's not such a astute observation, but I do feel like we're seeing more of this conversation in campaigns and city councils. We've had a few news stories. Is that what you're hearing? Is that an accurate observation?
Yes, it is. I mean, let's face it. That immigration has always been a volatile issue. It's been used in campaigns for decades. I mean, that helped Pete Wilson get elected governor way back when.
Also helped him.
It also helped, really sort of
unelected,
hurt
right?
the Republican Party. Well, no, I mean, he served out his 2 terms. But it's become a volatile thing. Like I said, I think that you go towards the primary and it can help people. But certain districts like this one, where it's not necessarily a rock-ribbed conservative district, will see how that sits. The one thing I think is important is that it's sort of like pro-immigrant, anti-immigrant, and I tend to think that this particular law, even people that are sort of sympathetic to unauthorized immigrants and don't think we should just be deporting everybody, but I think the notion is, why are we limiting law enforcement agencies from talking to each other? I mean, that sort of bedrock
very strident on
concern.
the other side,
I think people say, well, gee, why wouldn't we let them know and stuff like that? Well, it's nuanced. If somebody is an unauthorized immigrant, makes a mistake a lot of people make and get put in jail, I mean, should they automatically be deported, break up their family and all that stuff? Some people think so. But, that's sort of the issue there. But I have a feeling that the sort of sanctuary law is not quite as cut and dried in people's opinions as sort of the whole immigration issue.
Yeah, super, super interesting. Looking forward to hearing more from you on this. Weigh in or reach out to Michael offline.
You can even
continue
call.
the debate. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks.